Hello everyone. Varok Saurfang, or Saurfang as it's supposed to be pronounced, is a legend amongst the Horde and a lot hold him in high regard. But why exactly is that? What has the journey been for this orc and where might it take him? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Like most orcs, Saurfang's story begins on a little planet called Draenor, where he grew up within the Blackrock clan, found a mate whose name has not been revealed, and had a child called Drenosh. You might have heard the tale of his brother Broxigar, who sacrificed himself and stood against none other than Sargeras himself. This is a family of badasses. But the orcs were molded and forged amidst the fires of a vengeful crusade between the Eredar and the Draenei. Sargeras had shown up at the world of Argus to offer them a place within the Legion, to which Archimonde and Kil'jaeden, they willingly accepted, but Prophet Velen knew that this was not the way. He gathered those that he could, and he fled from the homeworld, something that Kil'jaeden took very personal, and he set out to track and exterminate the Draenei. Across the great dark beyond, their journey eventually led to them crashing and landing on Draenor, where for a while, the orcs and the Draenei, they kept a distance from each other, and they just let each other be. That all changed when Kil'jaeden figured out where the Draenei had been hiding, and he figured that he could use the orcs to do his dirty work and kill the Draenei for him. Through Gul'dan, they worked on manipulating the orcs, making them believe that the Draenei were not that innocent, actually their enemy, aimed at destroying them. They needed to strike out first, unite the different clans, and rally together under one single leader, rally together as the Horde. It was Blackhand that was appointed to be the war chief, and he took charge of the Horde. Begrudgingly or not, the clans gradually accepted Blackhand's rule and settled into the roles in the Horde. To maintain order and discipline in his armies, Blackhand made sure to surround himself with mighty lieutenants. The greatest of them were Eitric, Orgrim Doomhammer, and of course, Varok Saurfang. Each of them would have made a successful chieftain in their own right, but for now, they followed Blackhand's lead, or, well, in truth actually Gul'dan's lead, as the war against the Draenei unfolded. The orcs embraced the powers of the Fel instead of the elements. They magically aged their children to increase the numbers of their troops, and eventually took in the blood of Manoroth, which made them incredibly powerful, but also bound to the Legion. With demon blood pumping through their veins, the orcs murdered every Draenei man, woman and child that they could find. Many lives were lost, but Velen and some other people were able to hide away within the Zangarmarsh, away from the Horde's deadly grasp. Despite Kil'jaeden's burning wish to see Velen dead, he informed Sargeras about the orcs, and in them, the Lord of the Burning Legion, he saw an opportunity. He had set his eyes on a little planet called Azeroth, and he wanted to use the orcs to weaken the world's defenses and make it easier for the Legion to take the planet. For now though, they just needed to let the Horde suffer for a little bit, as they were still high on the rush of victory, and Sargeras needed them to be desperate enough to step through the Dark Portal, if that meant their survival. So it was that the promised power to Gul'dan was never delivered by Kil'jaeden, and the use of Fel magic that tainted the Legion, it had done incredible damage to the planet of Draenor. The orcs had been able to conquer most of it, but the land had dried out. Food and water were very hard to find, and the orcs started to turn on each other. Years passed until finally Sargeras knew that the time was right. He made contact with Gul'dan, and he showed him this world of Azeroth, a world with plenty of food, water, and enough enemies for the Horde to sate their bloodlusts. So it was that they worked on creating the Dark Portal, but before they stepped through it, Saurfang made a promise to his mate before she died that he would cross the Dark Portal alone. Whether he lived or died, their son would be safe and would remain untainted. The corruption of Fel, it did not only change the planet, it also changed the orcs, whose skin had slowly started to turn green. Even those who did not directly use the Fel themselves, they were still affected by it by simply being near it. Now orcs, like Garrosh Hellscream and Draenor Saurfang, they maintained their original brown color, since they were kept away from the mess, staying with the elders of Shadowdar. Saurfang would not let the warlocks take him. His boy would be safe, as he joined his war chief Blackhand through the Dark Portal and into the first Orcish Horde invasion of Azeroth.
Now, Gul'dan's Horde will sweep across this world like a locust swarm, and all my designs, all my carefully laid plans will at last fall into place.
Over time, Orgrim Doomhammer eventually found out what had been going on with the Legion, what had been going on with Gul'dan, and even his war chief Blackhand. This pushed him into challenging his war chief to Mak'gora, a duel to the death to claim leadership of the Horde, a duel which Orgrim actually won. He was hell-bent on steering the Horde back to the more honorable ways, away from all this corruption. Yet all the same, they still needed to conquer the planet, since the old home, that would surely mean death. With this change in leadership, Orgrim decided to make Saurfang his second-in-command. He had seen his efficient and brutal tactics on the battlefield. By this point, he had led forces in the sacking of Shefref, Stormwind, and everything in between, never losing a battle, so definitely a great orc to have at your side. The Horde marched on, and with the survivors of Stormwind fleeing to the lands of Lordaeron, the Alliance of Lordaeron eventually rose up to fight back against this alien invading force. But the Horde, they also rallied its numbers by adding Death Knights to the ranks and making a pact with the Amani trolls. Now their leader Zul'jin, he'd been taken captive by the humans, and if Orgrim would help them with liberating him, they would aid the Horde in this war. This was a great boon, of course. The Amani trolls, they knew the land far better than the orcs did, so the pact was made, and Orgrim moved out to earn the Amani's support. He ordered the bulk of the Horde to turn east. Now his trusted lieutenant Varok Saurfang, he commanded a rearguard of Blackrock orcs to waylay the Alliance. This gave the rest of the Horde precious time to cross Hillspread and funnel through a narrow mountain pass into a region known as the Hinterlands. So Saurfang stayed behind while the rest of the Horde they pushed on, and then there's a little bit of a gap in Saurfang's story. We know for certain that the Horde was eventually defeated by the Alliance, and it doesn't appear like Saurfang went running back through the Dark Portal or hung out within Blackrock Mountain, which means that he either survived in the wilds all on his own, like someone like Eitrigg did, or he was captured and placed within the Alliance internment camps. All the same, a few years later, an orc by the name of Thrall, he would rise up and break not only his own chains of enslavement, but also liberate the captive orcs and reform the Horde. The events of Warcraft 3 played out, with the Horde allying against the Burning Legion, presumably with Saurfang also amongst their ranks. Gromar's Hellscream, together with Thrall at his side, they took on the Pit Lord Manoroth, and while Gromush did not live to see it, they were able to set the people free from their demonic curse.
Thrall, the blood haze has lifted. The demon's fire has burnt out in my veins. I have freed myself. No, old friend. You've freed us all.
The demon blood pumping in their veins, it no longer held control over them, which was of course a great thing, but it also created a bit of a new problem, since now many of the orcs had to face the atrocities they committed. The winter after the curse was lifted, hundreds of veteran orcs were lost to despair. Their minds were finally free to relive all the unthinkable acts that they had performed under the Legion's influence. Varok helped dozens of veterans come to grips with what they've done, ultimately saving the lives of many Great Horde soldiers, but even he is still haunted by his actions. The sound of swine being killed when they're ready for slaughter, it reminds him of the death screams of the children. Despite the memories of the past haunting him, Saurfang still stands on the battlefield whenever it's needed. He stood with Thrall in the Valley of Strength during Classic, and that's where he really earned his high status amongst the Horde players, getting his reputation up as the Alliance. They would come in and try to kill the leader, only to find out that Saurfang doesn't take prisoners and was often more difficult to deal with than any of the other leaders. Critting him would activate Saurfang's rage, his eyes would glow red and ask you, "Is that the best you can do?" Just before one-shotting you, because the damage was just insane. Alliance could also mind control him, giving him access to his execute ability with a full rage bar, and the jokes, they just kept coming. Very similar to Hager and Gammon, for example, Saurfang got his whole list of Chuck Norris jokes. Some of them were even picked up and acknowledged by Blizzard. He became a fan favorite, and despite a small bit of a story missing, he has done some pretty badass things. Of course, he didn't just stand there next to Thrall, he also accepted heroes to come in and deliver the head of Onyxia and the head of Nefarian, screaming at the top of his lungs, acknowledging their glorious deeds of slaying these dragons. Then, during the opening of Ahn'Qiraj, he stood there as the supreme commander of the Might of Kalimdor, leading the forces of both the Alliance and the Horde in the war effort against C'Thun, the Karaji and the Siliphids. I am Saurfang, brother of Broxigar. You know me to be the supreme commander of the Might of Kalimdor. An orc, a true orc warrior, wishes for one thing: to die in glory of battle against the hated enemy. Some of you have fought in battles. Peace has been with us for many years. Many years we sat idle, but many years we battled. In those years, where strife, the land, and Legion and Scourge sacked our homes, killed our families, these insects dwelt beneath us, beneath our homes, waiting to crush the life from our little ones, to slay all in their path. This they do for their god, and for our gods, we defend, we stand, we show that as one, united, we destroy. Their god will fall. To die today on this field of battle is to die an orcish death. To die today is to die for our little ones, our old ones, our loved ones. Would any of you deny yourself such a death, such an honor? And many did die in that war, but through our great sacrifices, we were able to stop much worse from happening, and Saurfang returned home to Orgrimmar. In time, the Dark Portal would reopen with the Burning Crusade. He himself didn't return to Outland, but some of the orcs that were left behind, like Garrosh, son of Grum, and Dranosh, son of Saurfang, they did reunite with the Hordes. A good thing too, as their strength would soon be needed in the war against the Lich King. The Scourge struck out at both the Alliance and the Horde, but Saurfang was there to help defend Orgrimmar. So foolish to try and take on Saurfang. Now the choice was made to lead a campaign into the cold heart of Northrend itself, to deal with the Scourge and Arthas the Lich King. Garrosh Hellscream, he's joined by Saurfang, who offers him advice throughout the campaign, since the son of Grum, much like his father, he's quite the hothead. He believes that all they need to win is the warrior spirit of the Horde, crush all that stand in their way. But Saurfang, he has learned much over the years, and he can see that the blood of Grum runs strong in Garrosh. Gromarsh and Saurfang, they both drank from the blood of Manoroth, which led them down a very dark path. He will not let Garrosh take them down that road again, with the promise from Saurfang to kill him before that day comes. Foreshadowing. Now as the campaign went on, we eventually made ready to assault the Wrathgate, with both our Foredragon leading the charge with the Alliance, and Dranosh Saurfang quickly joining with the Gorkron Vanguard, as he's been appointed to command them by his father.
Rise up, sons of the Horde! Blood and glory await us! Luntargar for the Horde!
I was wondering if you'd show up.
I couldn't let the Alliance have all the fun today.
Arthas! The blood of your father, of your people, demands justice! Come forth, coward, and answer for your crimes!
You speak of justice, of cowardice. I will show you the justice of the grave and the true meaning of fear.
Enough talk! Let it be finished!
Frostmourne shatters Dranosh's weapon and claims his soul. Saurfang lost his son that day, but the rest of the forces, they would not fare much better, as Sylvanas is betrayed by Varimafras and Apothecary Putris. Her developed plague is unleashed upon all the forces present, and our attention is now focused on the battle for the Undercity to take care of this threat within the Hordes. Jaina and Varian, they take care of Putris, while Thrall and Sylvanas, they deal with Varimafras, but Varian isn't too happy with the Hordes. They lost a whole lot of people by working together at the Wrathgate. Bolvar Foredragon, longtime friend of Varian, lost his life to this betrayal, and he is ready to
make things right. To disband your treacherous kingdom of murderers and thieves. Putris was the first strike. Many more will come.
But Jaina disagrees, freezes all in place and teleports them out. Everything that Thrall tried to accomplish between the Alliance and the Horde has been shattered.
All that we have fought for in this world is lost. The hopes and dreams carried by my father and mother, by Doomhammer, gone. If only you were here right now, old friend, you would know what to do. I know what he would do. He would say to you, Thrall, lead your people. Let's go home, old friend. It's good to have you back, Varok, old friend. I'm sorry about your boy.
Gorkron were left behind to keep an eye on the place, but the campaign against the Lich King is far from over, and after selecting the greatest heroes that the Alliance and the Horde had to offer, it was time to assault Icecrown Citadel and deal with the Lich King once and for all. Inside, we actually discovered that Bolvar 4 Dragon was still alive and was currently being tormented by the Lich King.
The Paladin still lives? Is it possible, High Lord? Could he have survived?
The power of the light knows no bounds, Saurfang. His soul is under great strain, but he lives. For now.
Then we must save him. If we rescue Bolvar 4 Dragon, we may quell the unrest between the Alliance and the Horde.
In their enthusiasm to save Bolvar and quell the unrest, the Alliance and Horde decide to have a little battle in the sky, with Muradin and Saurfang pushing their forces to blowing each other out of the sky. I don't believe that they've actually appointed an official winner in the lore for this battle, which means that we have two scenarios to play out. One is where the Horde comes out as the victor, and Saurfang discovers what the Lich King has done with his boy.
Gorkron, move out! Champions, watch your backs! The Scourge have been caught!
Join me, Father. Join me, and we will crush this world in the name of the Scourge. For the glory of the Lich King.
My boy died at the Wrathgate. I am here only to collect his body.
Stubborn and old, what chance do you have? I am stronger and more powerful than you ever were.
We named him Dranosh. It means Heart of Draenor in Orcish. I would not let the warlocks take him. My boy would be safe, hidden away by the elders of Garadar. I made a promise to his mother before she died, that I would cross the dark portal alone. Whether I lived or died, my son would be safe, untainted. Today, I fulfill that promise.
Pathetic old orc. Come then, heroes. Come and face the might of the Scourge. By the might of the Lich King, I am released.
You will have a proper ceremony in Nagrand, next to the pyres of your mother and ancestors. Honor young heroes, no matter how dire the battle. Never forsake it.
Well, the Alliance also brings down Dranosh, and Saurfang shows up to claim the body of his son.
Don't force me hand, Orc. We can't let you pass.
Behind you lies the body of my only son. Nothing will keep me from him.
I can't do it. Get back on your ship and we'll spare your life.
Stand down, Muradin. Let a grieving father pass.
No ko kills Ilnok Hatar. I will not forget this kindness. I thank you, Highness.
I was not at the Wrathgate, but the soldiers who survived told me much of what happened. Your son fought with honor. He died a hero's death. He deserves a hero's burial.
Quite a change from the variant that we saw in the Undercity. Respect is shown on both sides, and apparently Saurfang now moves out to honor his son in their grants. He would return to Northrend though, to stay behind in Hold after the victory over the Lich King, and command a skeleton force left behind by Garrosh. Hellscream doesn't anticipate that they'll have need of them, since the Warsong offensive it had crushed the Scourge and taken the fighting spirit out of the rest of their enemies, as they had come to do. It is his belief that his former advisor will sit and watch spiders spin cobwebs, and fully enjoy the peace that he so obviously craves. Cairn Bloodhoof had also made the journey to Northrend. He was part of this conversation, and he brittled on Saurfang's behalf. After what the old orc had endured, losing his son and all, Garrosh's words were particularly harsh. Saurfang, however, he'd clearly grown used to Garrosh's attitude, and he merely grunted. We have both done our duties. We serve the Horde. If I serve by watching little spiders instead of fighting large ones, then I am content. After the ships are loaded and ready to go, Cairn says farewell to Saurfang. Garrosh might have joked about peace and quiet, of remaining up here with but a skeleton crew, but the reality would be something else. And there would likely be ghosts aplenty to hunt Saurfang, if only his memories. Cairn knew that, and as he looked into Saurfang's eyes, he knew that the orc knew it too. Cairn wanted to thank him again, to offer encouragement, praise for a task so successfully completed, for being able to bear such burdens, but Saurfang was an orc, not a blood elf, and lavish compliments and effusion that would not be welcomed or wanted.
For the Horde,
Cairn said.
For the Horde!
Saurfang replied, and it was enough. He stayed behind in Northrend, where he had lost so very much, while Cairn and Garrosh, they traveled back home, and the events of the Cataclysm played out. Garrosh was appointed Warchief by Thrall, while the Shaman himself went out to try and heal the world. Cairn and Garrosh, they ended up in Mak'gora, a duel to the death, where the old bull died betrayed, and his son Bane, he took up leadership of the Tauren. It seems like his time spent with Saurfang, it does have a massive impact on Garrosh. A good example of this can be found in the Stone Talon Mountains, where Overlord Kromgar decides that it's a good idea to drop a bomb on Tal'Darak Grove. This is a place of peace and learning, but the orc believes that they used the location to create a weapon of mass destruction that would be used against the Hordes. High Chieftain Cliffwalker tries to persuade him not to go through with it, but Kromgar believes that he is carrying out the will of the War Chief, carrying out Garrosh's commands.
My command! Was my command to murder innocents, Kromgar?
War Chief! Sir, Am
I a murderer, Kromgar?
No! War Chief!
Then I ask you again, what have you done? I sent you into Stone Talon Mountains with an army. Your orders were to secure this land for the Horde. Instead, you laid waste to the land, murdered innocents, children even. I spent a very long time in Northrend, Kromgar. I learned much about the Horde in that time. While there, a wise old war hero told me something that I would carry with me forever. Honor, Kromgar. No matter how dire the battle, never forsake it. Overlord Kromgar, you have disgraced the Horde. You have brought shame to us as a people. By my right as War Chief, I hereby relieve you of duty. You are dismissed!
Kromgar is dismissed and thrown off the edge. Sadly though, this Garrosh wouldn't last for very long, but that's the story we're going to save for next week, since we still have quite a lot to talk about when it comes to Saurfang's story. So for now, thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!